Here I
You're
am.
a little. Okay, you're back. All right. Well, let's we'll get this going. I'm gonna play this and here we go. Welcome to Inside the 18. I'm Michael Magid, live from Hollywood, California. With me, you know her as 99 World Cup winner, Saskia Weber. Saskia, unfortunately, we have no Pro GK Academy Omar Zeenni today on the show as a regular panelist because we have a very special guest panelist today. We have Las Vegas Lights goalkeeper coach, whose name also happens to be Omar Zeenni. I wonder if there's a relation.
Woo!
Omar, is there a relation?
Yeah,
Congratulations, man.
I appreciate it. I know the Omar who was from Pro GK was trying to hide Omar from Las Vegas for the longest time, but it's nice to finally be able to tell people and get it out there, and of course a lot of moving pieces prior to it. So I'm just happy that it's kind of finally all said and done and it's official.
Sweet.
I mean, look. I'll be honest with you, Omar, obviously, we've been along this journey, for the last couple of years and everything like that. And I know you've, been hinting about it or just blatantly stating it on the show for the last couple of weeks. But now that it is official, now that you've signed your contract and everything like that, is there a lot of weight off your shoulders? Kind of like, this whole journey has kind of been worth it.
Yeah. And I think, it's been nice to finally, put all the pieces together. I think creating content is fun and lesson plans are great. But I think, most coaches and teachers, I think in any academia, I guess we all want to be able to follow up with our students and see them every single day. So just obviously, we create a bond with them, but also too, we can see their progression. And I felt like with my own private stuff, it got to a point where, I was applying a lot of the stuff that I was learning on these podcasts with our guests, and it was only seeing them once, twice a week. And I didn't feel like I had that continuity. So now piecing it all together now, and it's just that excitement of seeing those same guys over and over and over every single day. And then, watching film with them, breaking them down, seeing their tendencies, having those honest conversations, whether the number one or the number two, just having those honest conversations. I think you get to know them better as human beings. And I think that's been the best experience so far.
It's great that you're saying that, because I think actually Saskia's been having a very similar experience this past year. And I think, Saskia, I don't want to speak for you, but I think you didn't even recognize how much you missed that community aspect of being in that high level university environment or professional environment until you were kind of back at it.
No, absolutely. I agree. Like even when I was doing club, I still don't see the kids every day. So, basically being with UCLA, and just you get to see their progression, so much. It goes so much bigger and stuff because you're working with them almost every day, and you see the team's progression. It is the best thing to be a part of. Omar's going to do amazing. You're going to do amazing, Omar.
Thank you.
I think, Omar, I think, obviously we're doing this a little bit tongue in cheek in regards to, this whole thing. And we're like, hey, now that it's official, did you want to come on as a guest? And you kind of laughed about it. Like, that's a little ridiculous. But I think today's topic that we're going to kind of get into in a few minutes, about creating your virtual resume, is an important topic. And there's a lot of people out there, who maybe are doing some things that are actually doing more harm than good for them in regards to their coaching careers. And I think you're a prime example right now. Like I said, before we got to get into the topic, of somebody that took feedback, took notes from other people, and was willing to. And the dogs agree because they felt that all those other people were doing things that were doing more harm than good. But then they saw Omar and they said, no, that's the guy. That's the guy that's doing it the right way.
Coco agrees.
But Mike, so up to you. But if you kind of want, we can kind of start with just general questions, or kind of like the just kind of the early days maybe of like the channel and social media and all that.
Yeah, if you want to do that, man, like by all means, I only, spent an hour and a half putting a rundown together, but absolutely we can go that deep. No, that's totally cool. It's totally cool. Actually, Omar, that is in the rundown though. That is in the rundown. Omar, why don't you give maybe some people out there who kind of aren't familiar with kind of like your journey, how you kind of started out pro GK, you know, when you were done playing, and, you know, kind of when you kind of made that pivot from social media, you know, I don't want to say, you know, hula hoops and fireballs, because you were never that,
Yeah.
but from, you know, from flash to substance.
Yeah, and I think you know, early on in any social media, whether you're a small timer or a big timer, there's an algorithm that I think a lot of people like to follow. And early on, I mean, I got one of my channels taken down because I was following all these people and just making, you know, trying to get my follower count up to get my stuff in front of it, you know, as many eyeballs as I could. And you know, I had some success early on, you know, filming some stuff in my backyard. I remember one of my videos like passed 5,000 views, and I like sent it in my group chat. My family pretended to care as if those numbers meant anything to them, but to me it was like, you know, I actually you know, improved the aesthetic. I was learning all these little things to mess with the algorithm. And, you know, as people who follow the channel know, I started in my backyard, and then as the story goes, my buddy Armando from UC Davis, where we played together, he was graduated, and he's from Rancho Cucamonga, so close to LA here. And he was like, hey man, like, I know you just started these videos. I'd love to be the demo guy. And also too, I'm trying to get ready to play. So can I come out? And I said, absolutely, let's go. And obviously the partnership grew from there, and the video started getting more traction. And probably like six to 8 months in, Armando finally, you know, pulled me aside and he said, look, man, I'm kind of, I don't know if this is right. We're doing a lot of these videos, and after we get that one good take or that one good dive, we're moving on to the next exercise. And I'm not too sure if that's the right message to send. And I kind of brushed it off. I said, I mean, again, you know me, back, I was very defensive about things, and I was like, no, dude, this is the way I was trained. This is the way I was doing it, and the views are up, so this is how we're going to do it. And probably, you know, another month went by, and bless him for that month. But after a while, he finally blew up, and we had this big, you know, argument at the field. And he was just like, dude, honestly, I'm getting sick and tired of this. Like, you're so much better than this. Like, the drills that you're putting me through are not game realistic, and they are not making me any better. And he's like, I don't want to drive all the way out here and get worse, and you're making me worse. And I remember like kind of going like, screw you, you know, why would you even tell me that? Like, why would those words be uttered?
This is live, right?
Yeah. And I just said, you know, and you know, he really ripped into me. And again, those are the kind of people you want in your life who are not going to just, you know, be yes men. And so then obviously I took the criticism, and I was like, okay, maybe I start making better content. So then we switched up from just Instagram videos to more like session based, where we actually create the session. And then from there, you know, we try to, you know, incorporate it into, you know, game realistic drills. But then again, you know, the algorithm that we all try to, you know, play around with on social media, it rewarded certain content and rewarded certain angles in the goal. It rewarded slow motion stuff. And while, you know, I thought the content was getting better, obviously Mike and other people who were in my life, they you know, told me otherwise. And you know, Mike and I, we went to a few conventions, and the coaches conventions, and you know, some of the coaches had heard of me, and again, I was a little arrogant at the time, and I was all like, oh, of course you've heard of me, I post my sessions, blah blah blah, like, you know, that's just how I was. And I remember there was a time, we won't say any names, but you know, Mike kind of pulled me aside, and he was like, hey dude, he was just said, hey dude, look, you know, there are certain people who, yeah, they've seen your content, but they don't respect it. They just see it as, you know, another person who's putting out content, putting out drills, very self-fulfilling. There isn't much else that's going to be helping young kids. And I was very defensive, and I said, you know, screw them. I don't believe that, but okay, sure. And then Mike was like, no, dude, like, listen to me. This is like, again, that's why I call Mike one of my mentors. Like, he really pulled me aside, and he was like, I don't care how you're hearing this, Omar, but it's the reality. And you need to fix your content if you want to be taken serious. And he's like, you can be a celebrity coach, but celebrity coaches don't get opportunities because they're not laughing stocks, but like they're seen as people who don't take their profession seriously. So again, that was a conversation that I needed to have. And little by little, I started, you know, understanding how to create content that's going to be self-fulfilling in terms of like growing my name, but also too helping the young kids out there where Mike, you told me is like you post stuff, Omar, and you know what you're doing. But these kids that are watching your content, they have no context. They have no idea why you're asking a goalkeeper not to jump wide. They have no idea why you're asking a goalkeeper to, bring swings, their knee on a cross, and why they shouldn't bring the opposite knee. And those, I guess, those conversations were very, very, crucial to, okay, I'm an educator, but I need to make sure that I'm educating in the proper manner so that these young kids go out there. And it's something as small as like saying, hey guys, I did this set and today's session was high volume because these guys are in preseason. So then these kids now, when they go to their sessions, they're like, oh, you know what? Instead of doing 20 reps, maybe we do 5, maybe we do 10. So just context like that. So Mike, those conversations with you and other coaches along the way really paved my understanding of how to obviously help myself and make sure that I'm getting better as a coach and my virtual resume, which will transition to the topic, but also too that these kids have some guidance. And I think that is what content creation should be about.
I mean, look, first off, Omar, I want to say this is that we're going to for today's purposes, we're going to remove the 2-minute warning that we usually give guests when they've been talking for over 5 minutes.
I know.
I was like,
because I was like, by now, Omar sent me a text saying, "Hey, when is someone when can I get a word in edgewise?" But obviously, this is a proud moment for you, man, and we're really happy for you. And so we wanted to make sure that you gave that whole thing. I mean, Saskia, I want to say one thing, to yourself is that. Somebody like yourself who's been at such a high level, who's played at the highest levels and coached at the highest levels and everything like that, it's very rare that you come across content on social media and you go, oh, you know what? I respect what this person's doing. And I feel like I'm actually going to share this content. And, I don't want to put words in your mouth, but, Omar's content is such that you are, willing to share it with your students, with your players, that sort of thing.
Absolutely. And I see the content online and stuff, and I see Omar stuff, and it's in my saved box, for me to go back and reference. And if I'm looking for kind of a session, like some new stuff to put into like any sort of session I'm building and stuff, like I go to Omar stuff. If there's the other people out there that you just pass over, you're like, what in the world, but you definitely know the difference, and the better ones stand out without a doubt.
Yeah. And by the way, for those out there,
you're in my inbox, you're in my saved box.
I have more sessions now. I actually, because I've been doing a lot more film. Ramadan's over, so I have way more time, and I've been cutting up the sessions. And nice. I want to share them with you guys. I'll share them after the podcast, and you guys can just let me know what you think.
Oh, you're not going to share them on the air? Are these unedited, not ready for prime time?
No, I mean I definitely could. I just up to you. Again, you're the one who's directing the podcast, so if you want to go that direction, we can.
We have. I was telling Saskia earlier. As we're leading up to our big announcement, when that thing comes to pass, we're all going to have to do one where we're all the guests. So Saskia's next, and then either I'm going to have to MC myself, or you guys are going to have to MC the show on me.
That's
and
fair.
Yeah. I do want to say this though, we've been giving Omar praise, and that's great. That's wonderful. Absolutely fantastic. But I do want to say out there, for those of you guys who are watching, it's not the Omar show. Omar's not the only game in town. There are other people out there doing good stuff on social media, right,
Absolutely.
Omar?
Yeah. And I think, again, those are the conversations that, I tried to pass on. For example, someone like Connor O'Keefe, who's to me early on, I realized that, okay, the follower count and the views aren't there just yet, but the content that he was creating, the best content doesn't gain the traction right away. Unfortunately, again, you almost have to reprogram those kids and have them understand that you want to get better and you want to know the real life of a pro and understand that you need to actually sit down and actually digest this content. And sometimes, kids can stay on TikTok for 2 hours, but watching a 7-8 minute video about someone who is trying to make it to, the top, and he has professionally, and that story itself, it gives you perspective of what does this journey look like if I were to try and do it as well. So I told him, I said, dude, just take your time. The content is great. And as you progress, you'll start to notice the follower count grow. And you obviously want quality, not quantity. And him, and there's other people out there too, but for sure him, for me, was one of those guys early on that I said, let me give this guy some tips to get him through the storm, and caution through the storm. And after he got through the storm, look where he is now. So yeah, there's a lot of great content out there.
Yeah, and I think, a conversation that Saskia and I had in regards to this, and we'll, as we kind of are moving into that topic, is that a lot of these people don't recognize, Saskia, who's watching this content. If you want to be a coach one day, then who are you trying to impress? Are you trying to impress a 5-year-old who doesn't know anything about goalkeeping and is in their foundational stage, and you're actually being a detriment to the development, or are you trying to show it to other professional coaches, who could potentially lead to networking opportunities that could lead to a job for yourself, right? Like, Saskia, whenever you watch a lot of this content as a professional coach yourself, when you see it, it's going to leave a lasting impression with you on who you're going to recommend in the future. Let's say, so-and-so is looking for a position, and they said, oh, I'm looking at blah, blah, blah. And you're like, oh, I just saw their Instagram, and I don't think you want to touch that.
No, and you have to be smart about what you're putting out there. Like, excuse me, it's going to be out there and for forever, for a long time. And, you are going to be judged on it. And, if you're looking for a coach or an assistant coach or something, and you're looking at the quality of their content, or if you're looking at where to send your kid, or, if the coaches at a local club, if you're looking to just multitude of things, and even if you're looking to educate yourself or your kids, then if the quality is not there, it's going to be noticed, and you're going to be judged on it. I mean, trust me, I can tell you some things I've seen. I always go back to the ball skipping off the water, and the hula hoop is still my favorite. I'm like, and this is something that we've talked about so much. It's, what are you, like, if you don't know what you're watching, like, it's our job to educate properly. And so if you don't know what you're watching, and you're a parent coming on there, you're a coach coming on that doesn't really know how to coach goalkeepers, it doesn't matter if this person's got 1.5 million hits. Are they actually doing anything? Is it quality? Is it what we want to teach? It might have been interesting or funny at that moment, but that's not goalkeeping. It's not. So.
Yeah. So let's move into the topic. And Omar, just like we tell all the other guests, you usually never have an issue stepping in. You don't have to wait for us to ask you a question. Say whatever you want, whenever you want. I mean, you're big time now. You're a Vegas light.
You're a Vegas light. That was a good one, Mike. That was a good one.
Yes,
Did you write that in your rundown?
No, and I will not be doing that later today when I'm performing on Chirping Bird Comedy with Judah Friedlander. Great plug right there. 5 o'clock Pacific time, 7 o'clock Central. Also, Rachel Fogletto is going to be there. Okay. Anyway,
I'll just be sitting here moping watching the national championship.
So let's get into this topic here, the virtual resume thing. Omar, in your opinion, what do you kind of think of when I say creating a virtual resume?
For me, it's what are your best ideas, and what are certain things about you as a coach that you want others to know about you, and whether it's you're a good communicator. Can you hit bullet points in the way you talk to your goalkeepers? Are you good at session design? Are you good at are the roles that you've had in the past? Are you working with quality goalkeepers? And if you are, what does the session design look like for them? If you're working with younger goalkeepers, what does technical foundation work look like for them? So I think for me, it's just filming and getting out there your best ideas, and then from that you get feedback, and then from there obviously you refine your ideas. And that's what I did. I wanted to do is as many videos as I could, and I got as many good feedback points as I could. And then from there, as you can see where my content is now, it's a lot better than it used to be, because I was able to just put it out there and then receive criticism and act accordingly after that.
Yeah, it's definitely improved from like, hey, which save did you like more?
Yeah,
it's definitely move forward.
It's so cringy. It's so cringy. Like I don't wish. I mean, I think as young when you're growing up and all that stuff, obviously you want the attention, but then as you get older, that attention turns into respect. And I think you don't want to walk around your peers and like I did at the conventions. And after Mike, I thought I was walking around with just feeling good about myself. And then Mike was like, yeah, that guy that was smiling at you earlier? Yeah, you thought he liked your content? Yeah, he came up to me afterwards and like, this guy's not it. And I remember going, damn, okay. So I'm like walking around the rest of the convention kind of going like, oh shoot, man, I hope they haven't seen my content because I don't want to have to explain anything. I just can't wait to finish this conference, go back home and film some brand new stuff. But that's what it is though. It really is like, what do you want to be known for? And then put that out there. And if it doesn't get hits right away, as long as you feel comfortable knowing that if it got into the right hands, like Sas was saying earlier, if I'm going to show your content to somebody, I need to feel comfortable knowing that's going to speak well for me. And it's also going to be, speaking well for the team that's going to be looking at hiring you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. And by the way, shout out to Stan Anderson from Camp Shutout who just joined. He probably just saw that I'm wearing this shirt and said, oh, you know what? I think I'm going to hop on this right now. That's right. I'm wearing this Camp Shutout shirt. Local plug. Anyway, Saskia, I think Omar brought up a really good point right there. And that's that a lot of young coaches don't recognize. The fact is like, whenever you put up anything, if you're looking at using your social media as a resume, let's say, well, would you put on a piece of paper something that you didn't want people to hear about you, a job that you didn't do well at, or something, that isn't, for lack of a better term, correct, so you kind of have to look at it that way too, right?
Absolutely. I mean, it's a resume, right? So you're putting it out there for me, whoever's hiring you, to read through it and judge it and judge the quality of your content. And I should know pretty much immediately if this girl has it, if she knows what she's talking about, she knows what she's putting out there. And sometimes like you said, Omar, I like what you guys brought about. It's not always like the perfect save. It's not like, oh, we did the drill. They made this upper 90 save, or they made this save. Okay, on to the next. It's really, I'm looking to see if you can teach. I'm looking to see if you can explain what through your content, through what you're trying to do, like in that session, at that moment, if you can break it down, but keep it flowing. And that comes down to, communication, footwork, like whatever it is you're trying to achieve. How are you presenting it? And is it, do I want to watch it? So that's the other thing. That's educate. What do you call it?
And edutainment. Entertaining while educating.
Yes.
Edutainment. But but I think, Omar, I think that's one of the pitfalls that a lot of young coaches fall under in regards to that whole edutainment. They gear more towards the entertainment aspect of it because they're afraid that if they try to do quality work, it's not going to be interesting. It's going to be boring, as opposed to trying to think outside the box and going like, okay, maybe handling's not the most exciting topic, but how do I present it in a case that's going to be engaging for the audience too?
Yeah,
exactly. And that's honestly exactly what you just said is kind of epiphany that I had was, okay, yeah, if I need to create sessions that are more game-like, and there's a few, it's like a pass back or whatever it is, like I can still make that look exciting. And I think that's where the creativity needs to come from. But the foundation piece of what you're building out of that needs to be, how can I educate people? Okay, now that I have that piece of how can I educate, how can I make this not viral, but how can I make it educational, but also entertaining? But people have like very short attention spans.
Right.
So you need to make sure that, I call it the Twitter method, like I always say, but like the Twitter method of like when you speak to your goalkeepers, when you speak on camera, get bullet points. People don't want to sit there and watch you like how I do sometimes. Like
I was about to say,
yeah, that's what I mean. Like compared to how I was,
don't do his 5-minute monologue at the beginning on your social media.
But if you look at like the podcast that I've done in the past, like I did ramble, and nowadays like I try to hit certain points, but I'm not there yet. But you can see the progression, the natural progression that I've had, and young coaches as well. Like don't be so afraid that you want to try and get 1 million views, and if you don't get it, then it's not working on anything else. Try to understand that you need to figure out how to articulate certain points in the quickest manner possible, and that actually is digestible for your goalkeepers on the field. And that's what you kind of have to do on camera as well. And I think with more and more practice, you get better.
Sound bites.
Exactly.
I think, Saskia, Omar brought up a really good point, and this is something that, kind of I want to bring up with you too, is that whenever you film something, if you're a young coach, every time you film something, if your goal is to see, oh, how many high level coaches can I get to watch this? How many kids can I get to watch this? How many parents can I get to watch this? Then you're doing a disservice to the people that you're actually running the session for, because that's the number one goal. The first and foremost is serving your clients, the people that are there that you're educating, right?
Yeah, I mean, I think Omar said it best. There's a way to do both. It's and it takes, I think, a learning curve. I think, Omar didn't, obviously, from what he's saying, didn't know how to present it right away. And you have to kind of be willing to kind of go through that and step back and like kind of judge yourself and sit back and be like, all right, there's got to be more, like, I have to think out of the box. There's got to be more way to put this content out there to teach and do everything, still entertain, but get the job done. Like, that's what we keep saying. And if you don't, and if it is long drawn out and stuff like that, you're gonna lose viewers. You're gonna lose the people that you're trying to teach, because like we've always said, and we have meetings and stuff like that, I'm like, guys, like, I'm about to check out this meeting. Like, my mind is like gone. And I think you have to look at certain things the same way with coaching.
To that point though, Mike, again, when we have discussed the content that we've seen, and sometimes we'll share it with, within our group chat. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I have empathy, right? I understand, hey, there's an algorithm that you got to play around with, and why would you, change course if that algorithm is rewarding you? And, there are certain people, again, who have been very transparent. They say, look, there's an algorithm, we're playing to it, but at the same time, we're throwing little nuggets of education in there as well. But that's how social media is. You have to post content that's going to get on the feature page. And it's just how it goes. So I think that, again, like I said earlier, it is calculated, Mike, and I'm reading ahead your questions, but the content is very much calculated. But again, you need to understand and audit yourself and say, what do I want to be known for? Perfect. This is what I want to be known for. Great. This is my virtual resume. And then now that I know what I want to be known for, how can I get that on the featured page where the substance is the focal point? And again, that's where my content, I feel, has really improved in that sense, where I've said substance is all I care about. And now I'm like on autopilot. Whenever I film something, I know exactly what I need to do, where the camera needs to go. But that's like 4.5 years of work and over time. And again, that feedback. So if you're filming out there, guys, you're getting your virtual resume, it's not going to be perfect right away. Buy a cheap GoPro, just put it on a tripod. You'll figure out your angles. And then from there, you'll start to realize what's most important with your session design. And sometimes they're going to be part of your session that doesn't work. And if you film it and you actually go back and watch it, you go, oh my God, well, if I would have just put that there or this guy there, then it would have been that much better. And that's the other thing, Mike, that I don't think a lot of people talk about, is we talk about watching film all the time, right? What are you doing in terms of watching film on yourself as a coach? And I think that, to me, is whether it's the session design, whether it's the coaching points, whether it's the service that you have, all of that can be watched, and really you can learn a lot from your own content.
I love what you just said right there, Omar. And Saskia, I mean, I think we've even had this conversation before in regards to the fact that, like, how many coaches out there film their sessions to show to other people, but they never actually go back and watch their own sessions. And because they're not watching their own sessions, and if they're not looking at it from the point of view of like, okay, if I'm somebody watching this content, what am I getting from it? What can I, as myself as a coach, get from my own content? Then you're not doing, for the lack of a better term, getting the most out of that film.
Well, I also think that there's twofold here. I think, maybe in your head, you think the session's going better than it is. Or maybe the speed is, you think it's faster than it is. But I think you're going to see things. I think you're going to see things. You can be working on one thing, but then notice that, like, somebody keeps making the same mistake with their footwork, or like little things that you're not picking up at the moment, but to go back and watch it, now you do see it. Every time she comes off this angle, her angle is really off, or every time we do this, or every time, or she's on her heels, or something like that. And by going back and watching, you could see that now. You might have missed it the first go around, Now you can see it and you can judge it.
Yeah, and Sus, to that point as well, I think I just did a film session this morning with the guys, and we were working yesterday on 1v1s, and we were talking today about when that, let's say that ball gets played wide, when that person takes a touch more laterally across the line, do we step up or do we drop off or do we hold? What if somebody takes the touch towards us? Do we step up? Do we hold? Do we drop off? And again, it was just watching the film and the angle of the person's touch, whether it was towards the goal or laterally or even back, what changes. And again, that was just a conversation and a dialogue that we had that we probably wouldn't have had if we didn't have the film. And I think that, again, it's just super, super important.
Yeah, and and I think one of those things in regards to when you put these up there, Omar, also as well too, is that a lot of the times the comments are going to kind of give you an idea based on who's commenting what the direction of the content is, right? Like if all the comments are like great save, how awesome or whatever, which there's nothing wrong with that, from an 8 or 9 year old, and then and there's a negative comment from a professional coach, well, that's going to give you a semblance of an idea of where you're going.
Yeah, I mean, understanding what your audience likes to see, what they want to see is obviously very important, because they are your fans. Like an artist, whenever they make an album, like obviously you want to make sure your core fans know what you're trying to do. But I think most of the time, Mike, the comments that I get, as long as I can articulate and give the context of what I'm looking for, whether that's in text underneath the video or in the description box or by audio of me doing voiceovers, as long as the players know what they're working on or what I'm working on with them, then the comments have always been, for me at least, positive. The only times where they're negative are when they say, hey, like, we have no idea how many reps you're doing. We have no idea this is preseason, postseason, off season. We have no idea any of that. So you need to give us context. And I think from there, that's, again, that feedback is super important. And then for me too, where as a coach, I go, damn, before session, sometimes I just tell them what we're doing without telling them the objective, what I'm looking for, what they should be looking for from themselves. And I think that, again, filming and getting all that and reading the comments and getting the feedback from the goalkeepers, again, is huge. And that's where the content creation side of it really, really starts hitting certain demographics.
I think it's really important that you say that. Like, I don't think a lot of, if you're content creators out there and you're getting this all together for yourself, I think it's really important to explain why you're doing the drill, at what point, like the load, at what point in the season it is and everything. I train a couple, like the sessions I have with my keepers are totally different in preseason than halfway through the season or towards the end, like completely different. But you have to explain those things. There has to be like a dialogue in the sense of why you're making the transition, when, and because for people watching that you're educating, they'll understand. Or if it's like a resume issue, now I get, okay, they get it. All right, I'm watching this content, I'm watching everything. This is their preseason content. This is, kind of how they would load the keepers throughout the week and stuff. Then we're rolling into first game and everything like that. How are they training keepers now? What are they focusing on? Because like towards the middle of end of season, I pretty much know what we're doing. Like 2 days before a game, like my goalkeepers could do the session themselves by now at this point. And it's just, and like I'll tweak it a little bit here and there, but they're in a rhythm. So I think those are important things to explain in your content.
Yeah, and to that point, I think what I told the goalkeepers today, I was like, honestly, because I've like came in as a goalkeeping specialist and like how much this is like in my DNA of breaking down film. Even for example, one of the kids that at LAFC, the Las Vegas Lights, he was like, and what, coach, like I
you don't want to get in trouble. Make sure that you call the affiliate Las Vegas Lights, right?
I know. He said, he like pulled me aside. He was like, coach, I saw your Instagram post this morning and I literally felt like I was listening to you talk, because the way that you wrote the caption is exactly how I've heard you on the field. And he's like, I didn't expect you to say the exact same things that you write in your descriptions that you do at practice. And I think another beautiful like side product of all this is the fact that when you are involved in the social media game, you need to make sure that the content that you're putting out, whether it's written or video, it's all substance. People only have a finite amount of time, and you need to make sure that when you have their attention, it's like you're hitting, you're going. It's like a comedian, Mike. I'm sure you understand this. And go, 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 go. You got to keep hitting them. And then whenever I'm in coaching now, I'm realizing, okay, like I need to make sure that I'm hitting every single point. And if I don't know how to articulate that, I can be patient and go back to the film versus just talking to talk. And I think that, again, that's a big improvement that I feel like when you film or when you do social media, you start realizing what is the stuff, the fluff that I don't need? What is the specifics for these goalkeepers to walk out and go 1, 2, 3, perfect, I'm good. And I think that, again, you get that as a content creator because you need to go with the algorithm, which that's the only positive side of it. But also, too, you can also create the algorithm. You can really, really have big influence on what the social media people are attracted to, I guess.
You know, you bring up something really, really important right there, Omar. And this is a conversation that Saskia and I have had, is in regards to authenticity. And I think we even posted a clip last week of Mirza Harambasic from Real Monarchs, a rival of your guys in Las Vegas Lights. So I don't want to give them too much credit, but him talking about the authenticity, like, and Saskia, you know, it's so important, if regardless of whether you're on the field or on social media, that you're presenting yourself honestly, you know, because players can tell when you're being inauthentic.
Yes. I'm like, yeah, I don't know where else to go with that. I wasn't sure. That's one of your like weird rhetorical questions.
Oh man, see, Omar was talking about the timing thing. I did not have the timing down on that one.
That's like one of your rhetorical questions. I'm like, okay.
but Mike, again, that's where, like, I again, whatever you do in life on a personal level, professional level, you got to make sure that you're comfortable with how you're being portrayed. And a lot of times you can't control that narrative, but luckily with social media now, we can control the narrative if we want to. And again, the quick story, Mike, and I hope people at LAFC don't mind, but when they called me, they said, hey, you know, we got a referral from your coach at Cal State LA, and he obviously told us that you had a social media, and we watched a lot of your content. And I said, okay. And he's like, Omar, we're very thorough here from top to bottom, from the head coach of the first team all the way down to where, you know, the staff who scouts. We all watched your content and we realized, okay, this is like, you know, very much in the direction that we want our goalkeepers to play. And the footage that you have is, you know, that's what we're looking for. So again, that to me is like, yeah, I have people who are vouching for me, but now they're actually seeing content that you know, that justifies that. So I think that, again, that's very important of how do you want to be portrayed, and go ahead.
No, but I think that I think people are learning that across all industries at this point as well. Like what you put out there, people are going to look at. Yeah. And so, and if, you know, if you put a bunch of party pictures and crazy stuff on your social media, but you're trying to get a corporate job, you probably might not get it. Like, how do you want to come across? How do you want to be portrayed? And I've had to go through this with my social media, because before I got back into soccer, I hosted nightclubs and ran nightclubs. And so it was like, well, what do I want? You know, this is now it's all soccer and everything. And I've also learned, like, what I put out there stays out there, and people look at it and people comment on it and everything. And so I love the fact that now people can go and they can see your content and everybody can watch it. And it got you this job. It's one of the main reasons, you know what I mean? It did. It's quality. And they have the time to sit down and see your content to hire you, where as opposed to walking into an interview, you could tell them what you do, right? But they're not, to see it is different. And I think that, you know, that, and the quality of it, well, for now sure. You're a light.
I want to talk about this. I want to talk about engagement, because this is, I think, something that can really help coaches if they do it properly, Omar, on social media. And that is the comments, that is the networking, that is the following the right people, asking the right questions, as opposed to like trying to get so-and-so to follow me just because I want to show everybody that so-and-so follows me, but more following them, asking them questions, and then developing a relationship with them. How important has that been for you to kind of connect with these world-class coaches on social media?
Oh man, it's honestly been everything. I mean, as you guys know, a lot of the coaches from the MLS have been very, very, you know, open, especially during the pandemic. I had a lot of interviews with them, and like I said, there was a lot of self-fulfillment on my side in terms of the questions that I was asking, because I was like, well, if I ever got an MLS Academy job or something in the MLS or LAC or USL, like I need to know some of these answers so that I'm not there just to fake it to make it. Like I need to know at least something about these questions. And I asked them all these questions, and they were very open and willing to give me those answers. And again, for me with the presence on social media, like not only did those questions help me, they helped other coaches, because as we all know, the coaching world, whether it's goalkeeping or field player stuff, we all are we have a small opportunity to get our foot in the door, and we need to make sure that we capitalize on that and seize it. So we need to make sure that, and a lot of questions allude to all of us. They all help all of us. So not just helping myself, but helping the other coaches out there with the questions has been amazing. And the coaches send you footage, man. Like people are so open that I've realized how much they want to be like, hey, this is not the greatest quality, but here, send it. I'm like, you're the coach in the Premier League. Like you're top. Why are you even apologizing that the session might not be great or the footage might not be great? I literally will watch this, put it on a big screen, get popcorn on a Friday night instead of going out to Sasuke's clubs. Like I'd rather do that. You know what I mean? And I think that's been also too, like those relationships, when you start realizing that like the big name, small name, we all started somewhere, and we all started trying to build our name and our resume out. And once you slowly like make your way up, you start realizing there's going to be somebody who's at the root of where you were, and how can we help you out? So, as you guys know, like I've been helping Mike on watching his film because he's on his way up right now. So just want to, help everybody else out there. Let's extend the olive branch a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, Omar, thank you for spending all that time with me, because I've been starting to try to work with U7s. And honestly, your session design on negative to positive movement was just so beneficial when I worked with that 6-year-old. It was just such a treat. No, I'm totally kidding. But that is a good point, though, Saskia, is that you've got to recognize when you're putting stuff up that you've got to put the context into that, and like who this session is for and what level this is for. Because if you're posting something and you don't give that, there's a lot of people out there who are going to, I'm making that joke right there, but are going to do that negative to positive movement session with a 6-year-old.
Yeah. And obviously they're not at that level at that point yet, but for the people watching and trying to learn and get content to, like I said, whether it's a club coach that doesn't know how to go coach goalkeepers, or your parent, or the kids themselves, they have to know what's for them. I would say there aren't that many. I mean, there isn't like 6-year-olds over here and everybody else over here. Obviously you want things to flow, and you want to keep the same narrative throughout your coaching and everything. But there are it's different.
And Mike, I mean, again, that's Mike, this, I posted a video with this young kid that I trained, 9 years old, and he's amazing. So I was like, okay, maybe I bypass some of the technical aspects because he's, good on camera. He's going to be one of those kids who's legit. So I posted it, and then some guy commented. He was like, I don't know if he was from the U.S., but somewhere else. He was like, with all due respect, like, I like your work with older players, but you have absolutely no idea what you're doing with younger goalkeepers. Like, this is completely wrong. You're supposed to be working on the technical foundations, blah, blah, blah. Like, really went at me. And this was like, like probably almost a year ago. So I remember when I heard it, I was like, dude, what are you talking about? And then I let it, like, I was like, okay, let me give empathy here. Let me see, understand where they're coming from. And I was like, dude, you're so right. Like, I needed to understand like where he was coming from, away from the anger, away from the way the word choice he had. And then I said, damn, that's so true. A lot of kids who aren't this good, or coaches who have these goalkeepers who aren't this good, they're going to try and work their goalkeepers through a session like this without any success. And they're going to ask themselves, like, why isn't it working? So that Mike, you talk about context, like something like that, where I felt like over the last few years, I've learned. I posted something that I thought was going to be great. A lot of people liked it, but this one person who the negative had so much truth to it versus the positivity of like, hey, this kid's great, all that one negative comment made me reassess and reprogram how I saw running these younger sessions, or sessions with younger kids.
Because, and that goes back to, I think, also what we're talking about. It's like, yeah, you had a great keeper, right? But what's your goal here? Is our goal to highlight this great keeper? Is our goal to teach how other keepers can become great, and how they can get to that point? Yeah. So, you have to make that decision. Maybe down the road, you say, hey, all this work you've done, this is where you can be,
Exactly.
Now, Omar, did you want to share some of your clips for maybe for the 4 people who've never been on Pro GK Academy before, who are watching this show right now, or listening to the podcast, or should we save that for shave that for?
I think we should have a show about it.
No, I mean I can do it real quick.
It's
I
just
mean,
my opinion.
Okay. No, I'm definitely down for that.
Break down Omar's content.
Oh, you mean
Oh.
like a reaction video? I'm down with that too.
We'll both have our popcorn.
Yeah. And like just the thumbnail will just be both of us like.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see?
That'll be it. Hold on, let me put it on the screen here. Yep, I can see it.
Okay, so I mean, again, I'll just try and run through it. So we were doing 1v1s yesterday. So something like this, again, activation. I'm trying to understand what are the principles for 1v1s. For me, it's fast approach, slow arrival.
This is LAFC 2.
Yeah, ball gets played to the wide channel. You have to move quick from your spot, get into the best possible position, and once you get there, you need to make sure your body is stabilized. So again, here we're working on just like stepping forward, getting a volley, recovering, and then from there, slowing your body down and getting a pass back. So yeah, you can see that there's a lot of wind. It was raining yesterday. Some of the volleys were a little bit off.
Oh, will you stop it?
So that was my activation, right? Mm-hmm. So then we step into the goal. Again, we had one of our equipment guys helping me out. This one as well, you can see here, I can play to Alex, who's one of our goalkeepers. He can combine with me, but it's still activation where the goalkeepers are moving from the center position to the wide position, which is the one of the final pictures that we're going to see. So here, just showing, getting wide, goalkeeper has to stay honest. So again, it's just making sure, again, the pictures that we're trying to get, as Phil Wedden used to tell me, he said, what is the final picture, and work backwards from there.
Omar, thank you for sharing this. I'm going to do this with the 7-year-old tomorrow. So thank you.
So again, that's so then yeah, this person can turn, and you add a bunch of little things to it, and I think from there as well, we're showing them the picture from inside the 18, and shameless plug there, from the 18 and in. And then now you'll see here my next part, wide to central combination. So now it's a little bit more. They play. So again, they're making those small little decisions and getting, before we do the big picture, they're getting an idea of, what a striker could potentially do. So then we did, again, you can see here, that was terrible.
Omar, can you give this whole description again, but with an English accent so people take it seriously? Can you do that?
No, but see here, again, ball gets played wide. Just the goalkeeper's having to do different movements.
Yeah.
So again, now we move on to here where the ball starts from the central. And now they have a target man here. I could play him, or I can play the ball in behind the back line. And 70-30 sometimes, or an opportunity for the striker to actually get there. Or I actually take a shot like that.
Oh, look at that.
He just wanted to show himself.
Just wanted to show himself making that strike. There's a lot different than that high school field that you used to be at, Omar. I'll tell you that.
I know. But yeah, again, so this is for me, I want to make sure the goalkeepers are actually seeing, a good amount of realistic stuff, because I need to be taken seriously as well. So I can't be putting on these sessions for the camera and then come out to the field and, tell the goalkeepers that, hey, we're judging you off of the sessions that I'm putting you through when they're not game realistic. Right. So again, as best as we can, just trying to do combination play. And we all know it's not going to be realistic because our services aren't going to be as clean as the strikers. But again, the pictures are what we're looking for. And again, do the opposite side. And yeah, these are the conversations we had today. So even watching this, he took his touch more lateral. Does that mean you step forward or do you hold? And I told Duncan, who's one of our goalkeepers, I said, he took the step, his touch lateral. You're 6'7", advance your position a little bit more so that if he does, put this in the far corner to your right here, if anything, and you're leading the opposite way because you think a right footer is curling, you can get that right leg trailing with you. But you're so deep, and now you're a sitting duck. Mm-hmm. So just stuff like that. And I mean, that's pretty much how the session went. But yeah, that's, to me, again, when I put those sessions together, now I'm, again, like Phil Wedden, who's one of our favorite guests. What do you want the end picture to look like? What are you replicating? And now make sure everything before that, whether that's the movement, whether that's the touch, whatever it is, make sure that's illustrated in the activation phases.
I mean, I absolutely love what you were just showing right there. And even just during that raw footage, we saw just how engaging the content was in regards to, we saw from an editing standpoint, how you can take that material, put it in the proper context, break it down in a way that's going to be extremely beneficial to goalkeeper coaches, parents, goalkeepers, all the different likes. Really, really great stuff there, Omar.
And I mean, again, just again, for anybody who's creating content, like whenever I do my lesson plan, I exactly how I would write my post. Like that's what I'm saying. You need those repetitions. So whenever I would sit down and write my post, I wanted to make sure that like Mike says, clear, concise, and direct. Like everything needs to be ready so that the people can digest it. So when I draw up my sessions now, like I don't have time for anything else. Like I'm specific of what are my objectives? What am I trying to do? How can I relay that in the best way? Boom, set the camera down. I forget it's even there. And now all I worry about is, making sure the session goes according to plan. And that's what it is. A lot of the work, and Saskia can agree to this as well, Mike as well. A lot of the work that we do is not even on the field. It's like 80% of it is actually making sure we draw the session out and how organized can you be. And that takes discipline and that takes stubbornness to never, veer off the schedule. You have to be stubborn and disciplined to make sure that happens. And you'll start to notice which coaches mail it in sometimes and which coaches are actually out there intentionally trying to get better with their own sessions.
Yeah,
it's funny that you said that, Omar, because there's a lot of great coaches out there, and there's a lot of people doing really great work out there, and unfortunately, a lot of them are not getting the love that they deserve. And like we were kind of talking about earlier, on the show, that there's a need for this type of content out there, for younger coaches or even older coaches, parents, players. There's definitely a real need about that, and it's very difficult a lot of times to find this type of content. And I guess I might as well say it right now, guys. For the last year, we've been working on a really secret project. So secret even that even the two of them right now have no idea what I'm talking about. No, they're very, very aware of what I'm talking about here right now, guys. And we can't reveal all the information right now, but we do want to definitely officially announce that we've been working on something. That's why you have been seeing weeks where there's only been one podcast or there's been a repeat or something like that, because we've been extremely busy with this. And Saskia, why don't you kind of break down, kind of the reason that kind of this happened and kind of how this all started?
Well, I mean, I think it comes from actually our conversation kind of today. It came from the reality that the quality of content out there wasn't where it should be, and the people that do have quality content and what we were talking about kind of fall into like the abyss of it. And we really wanted to get together and put our brains together and find a way to highlight and find a platform basically for everybody out there that is serious about goalkeeping, is serious about coaching, is really wants to educate themselves and stuff. They have the right place to go, and they're not fishing through stuff that they don't understand. This is vetted. This is made sure. This is the top of the top, the best of the best. And we were always making jokes. Like I always make jokes about like the flaming hula hoop and stuff like that, which there isn't a flaming hula hoop. It's just an exaggeration, but I'm sure everybody out there understands. And it's just like, you got to be kidding me, because if you have people out there that don't know what they're doing, but want to learn, and coaches out there that want to learn how to coach goalkeepers, we want them to know the right things to look at and the right places to find it. Is that a good way to tell our idea?
I think it is. And, I mean, I think, one of the things that really, that was not going to happen unless we got some of the best, best and brightest, involved in this project. And I'm not just talking about the best and brightest in the goalkeeping realm. I'm talking about some of the best. Honestly, guys, we're just so fortunate just to be a small part of this project. We've got some of the best and brightest in the world of business out there. We're talking about, owners of professional teams that you've heard of, major people in venture capitalism, and people like Omar themselves, your content creators who are really going to knock this out of the park. And Omar, why don't you kind of a little bit go about what kind of brought you to this project? Because I know obviously you're part of this podcast and everything like that, but when we came to you with this whole kind of project, which I think it originally came from a conversation that kind of we had together, something that you pitched to me, and I said, what, I think we can even take it further. What excited you about it?
I think, obviously the community aspect is the biggest thing for me. And as you know, Mike, I mean, my evolution into where I am now, like I really do value substance and I really do value meaningful conversations, whether on a personal level or professionally. And when it comes to goalkeeping, for the longest time, a lot of content, people who are bringing out substance-based content are competing with people who don't have substance-based content.
Exactly.
And we're losing. And unfortunately, the community is suffering because of that. And I don't want to make it sound like super, sad or anything like that, or gloomy, but that's just the reality. And of course, we want to make sure that on the men's and women's side, the American goalkeeper and goalkeepers all around the world, they're benefiting from the proper content where they don't have to go out there and look for it, but it's actually on a platform. So when we discuss that, I think in terms of our morals and values and ethics about goalkeeping, it all aligned. And to me, it was an easy decision. So I'm just excited. I think the community aspect's the best part too. Like you said, Sauce, you're literally going to be with everyone who loves goalkeeping, and you're going to be sitting there watching content from vetted creators who are actually bringing you the content that they probably wouldn't have, they probably haven't posted because of the algorithms that they're having to compete with. So I'm super excited.
And I think also now you're going to know quality, and you're going to have access to maybe these coaches that you didn't know were out there, that that give you also different perspectives, but just the content is at such a high level. And now it's all right. It'll all be right there for you at your fingertips.
Yeah. And last thing I'll say too, and like I said, with the content that I've created, and whenever you create, just have the best intentions possible, and don't let it be so, I say self-fulfilling, but like, don't make it so that everything happens that you are the only person who reaps the rewards, whether that's viral content so that you make more money on ad revenue, or sponsors want to, touch you and get you in whatever. I can't even say the right words, but essentially just making sure that you're actually making content for everybody else. And I think this platform for us gives those creators the opportunity to go, you know what, I don't have to sacrifice my integrity, but I can actually use that integrity to not only help myself, but help the whole community.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I think one thing that you just brought up right there in regards to the whole community aspect is so important right here. When we're talking about this project that's coming up, guys, this is not the Omar, Saskia, Michael project. We are a small part of this, and there are so many people behind the scenes that you may never meet, as a user, as an engager who are so integral to this. And honestly, the number one person, the most important person in this entire project is the user. Is the client themselves, because without the goalkeeping community, this project's not going to happen. I don't want to give away too much, guys, but this is a brand new social media network just for goalkeepers, and this is going to be. I'm getting a little excited right here.
Are you getting emotional?
I'm about to cry, but I think that this could honestly revolutionize the way that we engage with our entire goalkeeping union.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike, and again,
I think Mike's crying.
I am crying a little bit.
To I guess close off the topic, Mike, and probably like sign off. I just will say, if you're just getting your content creation and you're just getting out there and doing all that stuff, just make sure, because there's going to be the storm is going to come where you have one good day on social media and then you try to replicate that and then nobody's watching. So what I will give you, my best advice, is make sure that you put out content that you're proud of, that if all else fails, if your parents are just like, hey, we're not trying to watch this today, or like your family is like, nah, we're good, that you are proud and you would sit there and watch your own content. Because at the end of the day, like I said, before I got big, I had to sit there and watch my own stuff. And at the time I loved it. But now when I look back, I'm like, oh God, thank God people, steered me the right direction. But there will be opportunities for you to, unfortunately, veer off path. But if you love what you do and you're willing to take feedback, you will grow. Trust me, you will grow in this game.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things that we're going to try to do with the platform too, as well, is that not just obviously our verified creators, but also, the community aspect as well as whole, because there's going to be a forum where people are going to be able to share their own content and communicate with each other and start these discussions and watch games together and everything like that. And honestly, guys, the whole idea, the reason that we're bringing this is, I'm going to start crying again, is because it's not good enough out there. Honestly, it's not good enough. the platforms that are available to us is not good enough, and it's created, for a lack of a better term, a lot of negative stimuli towards the goalkeeping position. And honestly, we're just trying to do what we can to help give a platform, an outlet for the best voices out there, and for you to keep growing. And shout out to Elijah Gallegos, by the way, on YouTube. It just says, I truly appreciate everything on this channel because I know goalkeeping is an area I need to grow in. Thank you guys for what you provide for the soccer community. So we want more Elijah Gallegos to be able to keep learning. I mean, that's really
exactly our point.
Yeah.
really the reason that that we're having on it. And so, and again, guys, I don't know how much more you want to give away, because
No, I think
that's enough.
I think we're good right now. We'll
Yeah.
keep hitting on it as the weeks whittle away when we get closer and closer. It's driving me crazy.
I know. I'm so bad at keeping secrets. It's so
yeah,
difficult.
I know. I was like, how much is Mike going to keep spilling right now?
Yeah, they're like, geez Louise.
Just say it. Well, I mean, it was like Omar and his like the worst kept secret in goalkeeping history.
Yeah, but there's other people. There's other people riding on this one, so I don't. I'm not going to spill anything. I don't want to get in trouble with some of the big wigs behind us, behind the project and everything.
You got it.
Yeah, guys. So check this out. This is hopefully going to be launching this summer, and check out everybody's social media. And I'm sure you're going to be. Well, okay, I'm not sure. I know you will be hearing about this very, very, very soon from a lot of different places. All right, guys, as we start wrapping this up, first off, Omar, thanks for taking all the time as a special guest for us on this lovely show. I want to say this. I want to say that honestly, I could not, I could not have been able to even fathom something like this unless I met two people such as yourselves, both of you. Saskia, I know that we go way back to back when you were doing the television show, and I met you.
I wore a lot of hats.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. And I met you through the comedy world, ironically. And then Omar, I met you, when you were, a chubby 10-year-old, getting chipped from the top of the 18.
Yeah.
But it's just, this is how small the goalkeeping community is, guys. And this is, and this is honestly the way these types of things happen, and we're hoping more partnerships like this are going to be created with this platform. So, Omar, if more people want to reach out to you directly, where's the best place on the platform? No, I'm totally kidding. Where's the best place for them to connect with you?
No, I mean, it's social media, and when the project comes out, only on the platform, because hey, that's where I'll be majority of my time. But yeah, we're excited.
Yeah. So, and then obviously Saskia_Weber on all social medias right now, and then her new handle when the platform is out, and then obviously at Michael Majid for everything that has nothing to do with the platform. And then I think I might go into hibernation and not do anything on social media until this thing is out, so that people are wondering where's Michael, and then they have to go on the platform. No, contact at InsideThe18Media.com if you have a guest suggestion, topic suggestion, or want to get a little bit more information on what we're up to. We will be releasing information. I'm sure we'll be doing news releases and stuff in the future. That's all the time on Inside the 18. Keep growing that goalkeeper union, guys, and we are out. Later, guys. All right, we are
guys,
off the air.